Hey guys, today we are going to talk about text structure. But our objective is that you will be able to identify text structures of a text, of an informational text, such as cause and effect and problem and solution using graphic organizers, and you will be able to determine the author's purpose using that text structure. So today there's 4 different types of text structure that we talk about in 3rd grade, but today I want to focus in on cause and effect and problem and solution. So cause and effect is when something happens is the effect, and why it happened is the cause. So something caused something else to happen. The cause is why it happened. The effect is what happened. So for instance, it's raining outside, so I had to use my umbrella. Well, I had to use my umbrella as the effect. The reason why I had to use my umbrella is because it's raining outside. So with cause and effect in a text, you are going to look for what happened and why it happened. And so that's the use of cause and effect in a text. And the authors use that to help explain things that are happening in our world and give you more information about that thing and that topic. Problem and solution. Problem and solution is where there's a problem and then the author gives you what some of the solutions could be for that problem. And so we're going to look at both of these in the text that I have for today. Okay, so yesterday I started with the story about at home in the Arctic with the polar bears. And so I didn't actually read the whole story because it's a very long one. So I just wanted to read snippets because this gets to be a long video if I read everything. So I'm only going to read a few of the sections to help us with our graphic organizers for today. The first section we're going to use is warm coats, and I've already read that section. The next section, though, is we're going to be looking into is built-in snowshoes. So I'm going to read the few sections that we're going to use for our cause and effect, and then we'll do our cause and effect graphic organizer, and then I'll read the text or the section for our problem and solution, because in this text the author used both cause and effect and problem and solution. So I'm going to read the text so that way we can have some prior knowledge before we dive into the graphic organizer. Built-in snowshoes. Polar bears' broad paws, which are about 12 inches wide, help them to walk on ice and packed snow. The paws work the way snowshoes would, by spreading out the bear's great weight. Females can weigh around 600 pounds and males can weigh up to 1,600 pounds. That's more than 9 adult people put together. The soles of the polar bear's feet are covered with soft, small bumps and long hairs to create friction and make it easier to walk on slippery patches of ice. Swim gear. Polar bears are such good super swimmers that their scientific name is Ursa maritimus, or sea bear. They spend a lot of time in water, searching for food or swimming from place to place. Those large paws act like paddles in the water. A sleek shape, slick fur, and short tail and ears also make their bodies well suited for swimming. Their nostrils close up underwater. Sorry, I lost my place. And a thin, clear layer of tissue over their eyes acts just like goggles. It lets the bears keep their eyes open underwater. Polar bears can swim more than 6 miles an hour for 10 straight hours. And then I'm going to read natural hunting tools. Polar bears are the largest carnivores or animal eaters on land. Their favorite food is baby ring seals. Polar bears have extremely sensitive noses and can smell a seal more than 20 miles away. Their powerful eyes can see about 15 miles away. To catch a seal meal, a bear lies quietly at the edge of the hole in the ice and waits until a seal comes up for air. The bear then quickly grabs the seal and kills it with its sharp teeth. Okay, so now that I have read the 3 sections, or actually technically the 4 sections that we're going to use for the cause and effect, I'm going to now complete the cause and effect graphic organizer. So I'm going to go back to my first section called warm coats, and I'm going to complete the graphic organizer called cause and effect. And remember, cause is the event that makes something happen, and effect is something that happens because of the event or the action. So the title of our story is At Home in the Arctic. Okay, So that's our title. And then I'm going to look at our first paragraph. So the first paragraph talks about how polar bears have warm coats, and they're a natural coat. That's what we talked about yesterday in Central Idea. So we know that the polar bear's fur have a layer of insulation. That's that first layer. So we know that this right here, the inside layer, provides insulation. So, but because of that, polar bears are then protected against the cold. So the cause is that they have an inside layer that provides insulation, and the effect is that they are protected against the cold. So I'm going to write my cause is polar bears' fur have a layer of insulation. So because of that layer, so what happened is the polar bear's fur have a layer of insulation. Because of that, polar bears are protected against the cold. They are protected against the cold. Okay, that's in my first section. So that's my first cause and effect. My next cause and effect, I'm going to use this built-in snowshoes section. So in that section, it talks about how polar bears have broad paws. And so because they have broad paws, which are about 12 inches wide, it helps them to walk on ice and packed snow. So the cause is they have broad paws, which are 12 inches wide, and the effect is they get to walk on the ice and packed snow. So I'm going to write polar bears have broad paws about 12 inches wide. Okay, so that's the cause, what happened, and the effect is they can walk on packed ice and snow, on ice and packed snow. That is the effect. In swim gear, I know it talks about a lot of things, lots of really cool things, but one of the things that I thought was really cool was that they have a thin, clear layer of tissue over the eyes that acts just like goggles. It lets the bears keep their eyes open underwater. So we know that they have a thin, clear layer of tissue over their eyes. Okay, so they have a thin, clear tissue over their eyes, and it allows them to see underwater. They can keep their eyes open. And then in my last section that I read, Hunting Natural Tools, which is up here, I'm going to pull it down. Hunting Natural Tools, we see that right here, their powerful eyes can see about 15 miles away, and it allows them to catch a meal. So my cause is polar bears can see 15 miles away. So this makes them great hunters, right? And they can catch those seals that they want so badly. So that is how you do cause and effect. You have what happened and then what caused it to happen. You have what happened over here, and then you find out what caused it to happen. So they're protected against the cold because they have a thin layer of insulation. They can walk on ice and pack snow because they have broad paws. They're allowed to see under the water because they have that clear tissue over their eyes. They're great hunters because they can see 15 miles away. So that is how you do cause and effect in your writing. Next, we're going to look at is the problem and solution. Problem and solution is a little bit different than cause and effect. Problem and solution is you have a problem, and usually the author's trying to convince you to use his solution to the problem. And usually it's something that's naturally occurring in the world that we need to be mindful of. So in this story, it talks about less ice time. So I'm going to read this real quick and then we'll do the graphic organizer. For many years, humans widely hunted polar bears for their fur. During that time, bear populations began to drop greatly. Then in the 1970s, all countries with polar bears passed laws to protect them from being overhunted. Today, there are about 20,000 polar bears in the world. Now scientists worry that polar bears may be facing a new problem that is caused by global warming. Global warming is the gradual rising temperature of the Earth due to the additional release of carbon dioxide by human activities. Recently, some scientists noticed that global warming was causing Arctic ice to melt earlier in the spring and form later in the fall. Because polar bears depend on ice to find seals, less ice time means they may not get enough to eat. Energy burned to run cars, trucks, homes, and factories can produce a lot of carbon dioxide. You and your family can help slow global warming by using less of this energy. For example, ride a bike instead of taking a car. Encourage your friends to carpool. Turn off lights when you're not using them. Your energy-saving actions could help polar bears thrive in the Arctic for years to come. Okay, so in this passage, there was a couple of problems, but the problem I want to focus in on is right here. Because polar bears depend on ice and seals, less ice time means they may not get enough to eat. So because of global warming, and that's right here, global warming, because of global warming, there's less and less ice. So the problem that we're going to put here is global warming is causing there to be less ice, which means polar bears have less places to get food. So the problem is polar bears don't have as much space to find that food and to eat. But the solution to the problem is right here. So we need to use less energy, and these are some of the ways we can do that. We can ride a bike, we can carpool, and we can turn off lights. So, this text had both cause and effect and problem and solution embedded inside the text. So, what I need you to do on your assignment is to do just that. Find if your text is more cause and effect, or a problem and solution text, or maybe it's both like mine, and you can fill out the graphic organizers in your assignment, whichever one you feel that you need to be doing. You can do both. If it's a challenge, you want to challenge yourself, do both. If you have both of the types, those structures in your text. Make sure that you are putting in your assignment and submitting that to me so I can grade it for you. Remember, today you are looking for your text structures, whether it's cause and effect or problem and solution, and fill out those assignments and submit those to me. Remember that cause and effect is why something happened and what happened because of it, and problem and solution is there's a problem that needs to be addressed, and then the solution is given to you in the text, the possible solutions. So be looking for those, and also be looking for the different reasons authors may have written the text. You're using that text structure. This text structure that they used today was cause and effect and problem and solution. So I think that the author wanted us to understand and know about polar bears, enough to where we would understand that there is a problem and that we need to help solve the problem for those polar bears. Okay, guys, hope you're having a good day. Enjoy your time. Make sure you're working hard, but also make sure you're staying healthy and happy and safe. Take care.